Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features the Uncanny X-Men number 245, cover dated June 1989. A cover here by Rob Liefeld, who is the guest penciler on the interior art. This particular issue is another humorous one, following up on the previous issue's focus on the female characters. This one focuses on the men, Colossus, Havok, Longshot and Wolverine. So let's open this one up, and our splash page features this particularly toothy alien here, and the plot of the story is an alien invasion of Earth, and the invasion's beachhead is Australia. Now this happens to be a parody of DC Comics' Invasion storyline, which ran in late 88 and 1989. And the first two main miniseries issues were actually penciled by Todd McFarlane, who was at this time a friend of Liefeld's. Something else to note about Liefeld is that this was his second Marvel comic ever. The previous month he had produced X Factor number 40. He was the guest penciler on that. So here he is on his second ever issue on the main flagship X title, and one of the best-selling comics of 1989. Pretty sweet at the age of 21 only to get this gig. So, as I said, this is a parody of DC Comics' Invasion storyline, and these aliens here are fairly resemble the aliens, the Dominators from that series. And then let's turn over the page here, and we get this nice double page spread. So Rob Liefeld, a fan of John Byrne, George Perez, and you can really see that coming out in this double page half spread here with this array of various alien characters. And one of the games you can play with this issue is spotting little cameos by characters such as the alien Xenomorph there and there. There's E.T. there. There's some Star Wars characters in there as well. Let's see, there's Jabba the Hutt, Boba Fett, and over here Yoda's somewhere here as well. There's Alf. You can play that game all day long if you wish. But the setup here is you've got a coalition of alien races who are under the leadership of the Dominators going to take over the planet Earth. And this lowly archivist does some research in the background and discovers that the planet itself has repelled successfully multiple assaults by the world devourer Galactus. It's the only planet known to do so. So this shocks him, and he gets other information there regarding the planet being reputed to be the adopted homeworld of the Phoenix. So he decides he's got to tell his leader about this and maybe call off the invasion. So the creative team for this, Chris Claremont writer as ever, Rob Liefeld, guest penciler, his surname is misspelled there, Dan Green inker, so bringing some assistance to Liefeld's pencils in this issue, Tom Orzechowski letterer, and Glynis Oliver colorist. So as we move along, we pick up with the X-Men in their Outback headquarters, and here we've got Alex in the computer room, which was formerly run by Madeline. Of course, Madeline dead now after the Inferno storyline, and Havok pretty much bereaved, and indicating that by not shaving here in this particular panel. So we catch up with what the X-Men are doing in their downtime. Storm using her powers to have a shower. We've got Gateway there on top of the hill as ever. Dazzler training. Rogue looking for one of her boots, which Longshot finds for her. And this is all part of this kind of love triangle between Dazzler, Rogue, and Longshot. Colossus as ever painting and drawing. He's an artist, but not having any success today. And Psylocke on guard duty. Wolverine not showing up on screen, but then he shows up sneakily behind Havok. And there's a bit of tension and friction between the two of them. Havok doesn't take kindly to being called son by Wolverine. And just as they're about to set to, Storm comes in as well and berates them. So Havok stalks off in anger. And at this point, Wolverine decides, well, you gals had yourselves a fine old time in La La Land in Los Angeles. Just the cure you figured for cabin fever. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So this is going to be the gander's day out, really. The male ex-members going out. And there is that problem for Colossus, who is having difficulty changing back to his flesh and blood form. So Dazzler uses her makeup skills to help him disguise his organic steel. So now appearing more human, he's ready to head out on the town. So Gateway facilitates this, just as he did the ladies in the previous issue, whipping up a portal for them, and they head off. But there's an interesting little moment here with Dazzler, where in her thoughts we learn that her own basic luminescence has been upshifting along the spectrum as well, from yellow into white. Hope that doesn't turn out as ominous as it sounds. So this is Claremont setting something up here for Dazzler. Dazzler usually doesn't really have any problems except dealing with boredom in the outback town. So this is something to do with her powers, and a little bit of an ominous tone to that, and we shall see perhaps where that ultimately leads in subsequent issues. So then we cut back to the alien invasion, and the archivist arrives to give the news about Earth repelling Galactus, among other things, but his sudden arrival is misunderstood and he's shot down. Also in the background here we have a joking, tongue-in-cheek reveal of the aliens' master weapon, ultimate secret weapon, which is the gene bomb. And this is a parody of the Gene G-E-N-E genetic bomb that was core to the invasion storyline at DC Comics. So this is yet another clone of Jean Grey that it is said her mere presence will dissolve the most loving bonds, prompt brother to slay brother, and boon companions to tear themselves apart. So Claremont sending up how Jean has played, or what role her character has played in his own storylines over the years in these particular panels. So the invasion goes ahead. But we pick up with the guys in Sidney, and they head along to this particular bar, Munden's, which happens to be the name of the bar in the Grimjack series. And the bartender here that Wolvie orders a drink from is Ostrander, and that is named that is an in-joke regarding Grimjack's creator. So Claremont having some fun here in the course of this parodic comic issue. So the beers arrive at the table. It doesn't seem that Colossus is drinking. Meanwhile, Longshot is out dancing with the ladies in the bar, and Havok and Wolverine kind of get over their previous conflict and tension with the beers that they're drinking. So yeah, Colossus is drawing away. So he seems to have gotten through, pushed through his artist block. So the day out really is working out for all the male characters, but then it's interrupted by an alien invasion, just in the same way the X-Women's day out was interrupted by the arrival of the M Squad. So how is this invasion going to be received? Well, it's a humorous issue. So we have this resident of Sidney throwing another shrimp on the Barbie, and complaining about how Paul Hogan's commercials to Come Down Under are overdoing it. And the thing about it is that that's another reference to Crocodile Dundee, who was played by Paul Hogan, and that was for many people in the US a kind of an introduction to Australia and Australian culture, and then the Australian Tourism Board used the film and Paul Hogan to advertise Australia as a holiday destination for Americans. So then this like tank arrives in the city and really meets with this kind of what would I say, like laconic reception by the citizens of Sydney. They're not too pushed by these alien invaders, and ultimately the driver ends up having a beer in the pub as well. So the invasion isn't going well, and the leader knows it, but not quite why it isn't going well. This guy isn't charmed by the locals, as the narrative caption says. Unfortunately, as in all bureaucracies, military and otherwise, not everyone gets the word to down weapons and drink a beer instead. So this guy gets punched out just as he's moving in on Longshot. He gets punched out by Colossus. This is nice art by Liefeld here, Liefeld rather, in fairness to him. And it has to reflect the fact that he's really going for it. He's 21 years old. This is his second ever issue of comics at Marvel. The guy's got to be absolutely buzzing producing this work. It's got to be his dream come true. So he's going for it in the art. And Dan Green is really helping to enhance his pencils too here. So let's continue with the story. And then one of the leader himself actually makes his way to the Sydney Mayor's office and says that he demands his immediate and unconditional surrender. The mayor says, "You mean you want to take over?" "Precisely. Terrific. He's delighted. The job's all yours and you're welcome to it. I'm past due for a vacation anyway, and here's all this paperwork now this guy's going to have to get through instead." So the invasion really isn't meeting or going according as they thought it would. Then we're back at the bar, another fight going on in the bar, a bar brawl. And then we find out what's going on with Longshot, and he has been attacked by these cosmic cutie commandos, but he ends up charming one of them. Again, I have to say it, a nice sequence here by Liefeld, nice choreography. This is a very nice DeLuca effect from him. Again, he is really going for it in this issue, in fairness to him. Over the page here, as I said, like Longshot manages to charm one of the commandos, and she takes him to their leader. Then we get this little parody moment. So we move to the Daily, well, what is it? Looks like it could be a P. The Daily Planet TV studios, and we've got analogs here of Perry White, Jimmy Olsen here, and this guy looks pretty much like Clark Kent, yes. The Jimmy Olsen analog is bringing news of the alien invasion in Australia, but the comic element here is that the Perry analog says, no, it's not as important as the inauguration of the President of the United States, who at this time is George Bush Sr. So then back to the aliens in Sydney. And they're getting ready to really devastate the city. And this guy goes into Munden's bar, seeing the aftermath of the set 2 with Colossus and the other X-Men, and finds one of the generals of the invasion, the Strike Force commander, in a game of poker with Wolverine. And the stakes are super high. So as he says here, Wolverine says, "How about we make this game really interesting? I bet my life. You win, you kill me. I win." And of course the implication is he kills this guy. So the comedy here is the anxiety of the guy here who has to bet, play, or fold. And what is his decision going to be? So we get another moment with another one of the leaders who's disgusted at the failure of the on the ground invasion, and sees how the mothership is about to launch the gene bomb. He considers it treachery, and he orders his troops to blast the mothership from the sky. And this is a great comic moment here. Again, calling back to the Crocodile Dundee movie. So Havok emerges from the bar and says, "You fellas call those blasters? Those aren't blasters. This is a blaster." And he destroys the ship. So that's a callback to the "you call that a knife" scene in Crocodile Dundee in New York. So all ends well, and the lads return to the outback town, having bonded and having had a good time. And Wolverine, is it because of the effects of the alcohol or just high spirits, moves in for a smooch on Storm, which nonpluses her, but she ends up having a laugh about it all at the end. And then we get this interesting epilogue setting up things in coming issues, where we switch to Kentucky and a facility that was holding one of the ex-members of the Hellfire Club, Donald Pierce. He's escaped, and this is witnessed by Tessa, one of the Hellfire Club queens. And the ending of the issue is her statement: "If Mr. Pierce or his hirelings wish to have dealings with them, I've no doubt he'll make those intentions as plain as he did here. Heaven help them." She's talking about Sebastian Shaw and or the Lords Cardinal, the other Hellfire Club members. So a little bit of a setup for something that will come to fruition in future issues. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like the video. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.